We're back with the new face involved. We're back for Young Professionals Part 2. Obviously, we're not Kirk O'Fell, but there's a reason for that. About a year ago today, we filmed our Young Professionals Part 1 episode, but a few of us were in completely different positions at that point. And now we've got some new faces involved. And we're also in a brand new studio, might I add. We're the first people to be filming in here, and I honestly am pretty honored that we're getting in here before Kirk. I don't know about you guys, but...
And Mike.
Honored and nervous.
Oh, no. But we're going to have so much fun. So we'll go around and reintroduce ourselves, and then we'll jump right in. But my name is Shae Persico. This is crazy to say, but I am one of the directors of marketing for Overwatch in the affiliated OpCos. We've grown so much over the last year, so I won't go through and list those. But, hand it over to you.
Yeah, nice to be back with you guys. I'm Marlee Bacon, Director of Operations for DCAC. Enjoying my new role, being in a bigger position for DCAC, helping with the overall strategy, and my favorite part being David Isaac's right hand. So I'll pass it over to you.
All right, guys. Hey, good to talk to everybody again. My name is David Isaac. I'm the president of DCAC. It's been quite a journey being part of this conference, and we're just getting started. We're in our 10th year this year, and looking forward to another 10 years of a great event.
Yeah, and I'm Michelle Ballesteros. I'm the new Director of Marketing working alongside Shae this year. I worked with Mike for about 4 to 5 years building talent work group, shifted to hospitality for about a year, and I'm super excited to be back here with the team.
And you also jumped out of a few airplanes with Mike, too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
777.
Everybody that hangs out with Mike long enough ends up jumping out of an airplane or something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's so funny because we were like indirectly working together because Kirk was involved with some of the 777 stuff, and we ended up being a sponsor for Overwatch. And we never even crossed paths at that time.
Michelle, I can never make fun of you again. You are now a badass. I was planning on making jokes about how I brought my niece to work today. But
No. I've jumped out of an airplane 5 times.
okay.
That's
Small but
wild.
mighty. Small but mighty.
Well.
Absolutely. Yeah. But we have grown so much over the last year, and now we've got a new face involved. But me, David, and Marlee are all in completely different positions than we were a year ago. And, there's been a lot of things that have changed over the last year. Even with Overwatch, we're at a brand new office space and everything. We expanded into Europe for DCAC. At this point last year, we were still talking about the early planning of DCAC Europe. So it's crazy that now we've done it twice. And, I just want to dive more into how we've changed over the last year, because at this point last year, I was a social media specialist. And I know that I've gone through so much growth that I did not anticipate to happen so quickly. I want to turn it over to you guys and see what you have to say about the last year of growth.
Well, I think you got to diving into deeper with what you just said right now. Like the roles is just one thing, but I think the things that we've learned along the way has been a big, that's part of the story, right? Taking on new roles, you learn so much. Even like there's a difference between management and leadership. I'm learning it as I go, right? I don't have it all figured out, and I think that's something that we're going to be able to uncover here, and hopefully people will be able to receive that on that, and the viewers of this podcast to see that, hey, look, you're not always going to have it figured out. And in this industry, there's positions that change every day. You're going to be wearing multiple hats, but I think if you embrace it, that's where not only the change, but the ability to be able to grow within this industry is going to happen.
For sure. What about you, Marlee?
Yeah, I think, like David said, this industry is ever evolving. Our roles are ever evolving, but also with the company, like Michelle touched on it. Like we're a very high-paced, high-performing environment, and we work with a lot of high-performing individuals. So even when we were in our roles last year, I felt like I was constantly being pushed to the limit. And then you excel in that and succeed, and then they're like, okay, you're ready for the next thing, even when you don't feel like you're ready sometimes. And then it's putting yourself in that environment and being open to the challenges and the change, and then you'd be surprised on what you're capable of. And then it's just great to work in an environment where people see that in yourself before you even see it in yourself. And then, just loved growing with this team and constantly evolving.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but when I started at Overwatch, which was about 2 years ago in June of 2023, which is so crazy that it's already been 2 years, but I joined focusing on social media and was just focused on that specific role in itself. Never once was I thinking, I want to be leading a team at some point and be on this leadership role trajectory. And after coming into the data center industry and learning more about it and having leadership be like, the world is your oyster. Like, you have no limit to what you can do here. So tell us what you want to do and how you want to grow. And from that point, I was like, well, that director role doesn't sound too bad. And, worked my butt off over the last year. And it's just crazy that when I came into it 2 years ago, I did not even know that there was this much growth within it. I was like, I'm coming in to do social media and help with some conference that I'm supposed to be at, but I have no idea what I'm getting into. And now I'm helping to lead a team, working side by side with you and helping to work with, like, basically as a client of DCAC and working with you guys in that sense. I could have just never expected and predicted it.
Yeah.
You've
changed a ton. Like, literally meeting you, I started February 2023, and then meeting you in June, coming from a completely different environment. Like, you know, you were in sales and, you know, had just kind of gotten out of college, Mizzou, Golden Girl, like coming to a very military, like paramilitary company. And like, that has been super exciting. Obviously, like, we're good friends, but just being your coworker and like being able to, where, you know, we both started kind of at the same place and then we've both grown, and being able to like see that reflection of growth in you is like super cool. And like, it's a reflection of me too, because I'm like, oh wow, we're both here doing it together. And then David's moving up as well. So yeah, it's just been cool to like not only grow myself, but be close to you guys enough to like see how far you've come as well. And yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah. And knowing both of y'all's backgrounds, to seeing y'all grow, it's really awesome to be able to know that part of it, right? I think what you were telling me that you used to taste ketchup. For example, you're going to tell me one of the most memorable experiences in Marlee, you in the Navy, right?
Yeah.
But what about you, Michelle? So you're coming from the outside in, right? Tell us a little more about what you did and kind of your experience, your transition.
I started as Mike Strelli's intern my senior year of undergrad at CNEDS.
Fun.
That was supposed to be my last internship before I entered the workforce, and I graduated December in the middle of COVID. Mike offered me a full-time job. I took it, and it was history from there. I did 4 to 5 years with Mike. I worked my way up from an intern to a director position with Mike, and I learned everything from social media, email marketing, website development, advertising. I hit a point where I wanted to explore my skill set at a different industry, so I transitioned into hospitality, where I have a huge passion for it. I love it, but I miss the fast-paced environment that came with a startup. And even though I didn't know anything about the data center industry, I knew that the environment was going to be similar to that as of a startup, the fast-paced, the mentality behind it, the grit behind it, the people behind it, and it was a culture that I wanted to get back into. And that's kind of how I ended up back here.
Wow.
And then you were put right into the mess of everything in April, and we were like, all right, Michelle, I'm like, I'm going to have you take over some of this and help me out with this, because from there, DCAC grew so much over the past year that you guys were like, hey, we're going to focus on this. You guys got the marketing over there, right? And we were like, okay, we got this. And I had some great support from my team, but I knew that we needed someone to be by my side and helping me out with everything. And it's just been so much fun to work together. And I know this is my first time in leadership, and it's been really helpful to have you by my side and go to you for advice, because you were such a great leader for me and helped me learn so much too. And I've learned so much over the last year and everything. So it's just wild where we've come from there.
Yeah, it's good. Even when you think you have it figured out, or you think you know you're walking into a position. It's like I said, I think the biggest thing is embracing the change. Like that's what I would recommend to anybody. It's that you know, every time I try to get somebody in this industry, I'm like, look, all I recommend is that just absorb everything you can, ask 1,000 questions, and keep working hard. And I promise you'll be successful in this industry.
And I think what I like about it is that the culture that's created here attracts the right people to it. And I think that's why it made it so easy for us to kind of click as soon as we started working together, because we both had the same mindset, the same mission, the same goals. So I think that's what I like about this industry, is that it attracts people with the same type of mindset and the same type of drive.
And you're now, you've been in the role, what, 2 months?
2-3 months.
2-3 months?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just curious. So, what's your understanding of a data center? I'm just. I know it's you can get 1,000. You can ask the same person that question 1,000 times, and you won't get the same answer.
The backbone of every single thing we do now in today's world, from your email, your cell phone, to a traffic stoplight, it all has something to do with the data center. I know Overwatch can help different phases of a data center with our different opcos, but the more I dive into the industry, the more that I learn how much it affects our everyday life.
So before you had ever, before you were in hospitality, did you ever hear about a data center?
I mean, I heard about it from, again, we partnered with Overwatch for 777, but it was in passing. But it was almost like a completely different language.
Yeah.
And I think that's our biggest mission with the marketing team this year, is educating the public on what it is that the industry does, how much you use it, how common it is, and how important it is. Because people hear about it in passing, but because it sounds like a different language, nobody really takes the time to research or learn about it. And because of that, nobody knows how important it is. So,
And how many opportunities there are for jobs.
Exactly.
And, you know, like we've talked about a million times, you could be in finance, marketing, whatever it is, and still be in the data center industry. Like we have all of those same jobs at our company, you know, and it doesn't take a special person to just work for a data center company. You can take your degree or your trade or whatever it is and come find a place here. So that's, I mean, that's the whole thing with Overwatch is we're a technology incubator for labor.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. So I think this is the fastest growing industry out there right now, and it's crazy to think. You know, even the younger generation, we had never heard of it. Right now, it's in the news. It's very common for people to be talking about it and talking about the investments in AI or in the projects out there in West Texas. I think that's what's catching people's attention. I think some of the conversations I've had with the younger generation, and this is something I'm curious to hear if we're going to be seeing this in the future. The challenges is. Even explaining them to what a data center is, right? What we do in our industry we're not on the tech side, we're on the construction side, being able to explain them that part, but there's still an industry, regardless, you can still have a job if if you studied finance, if you studied marketing, if you studied sales. But that's kind of one of the things that I'm starting to see with the conversations I'm having with my peers, is that, hey, look, there's a whole different industry. It's the fastest growing industry, but we're on the construction side. Come check it out. I promise you it's just as fun, if not more fun, than the tech side of this.
I think this is where you can talk about Overwatch University a little bit.
Talk about it, yeah.
The new initiative is, it's going to be, like you said, a talent incubator for the industry. It's going to live out of our PPS warehouse building here in Austin, Texas. It's essentially going to be a hub spot where anybody that's looking to transition into the data center industry can enter it, whatever department or aligns with their skill set. And if they want to switch to a different department, they just go back into Overwatch University without ever having to leave the industry or the Overwatch candidate pool.
Yeah.
So.
And it's really interesting because you go on LinkedIn nowadays, or even just any news format, any articles that you're seeing, almost all the time, the top articles about data centers and new deals that are being signed and all these investments that are being made. But again, nobody realizes that even us filming this podcast is probably being run through a data center somewhere. And if we didn't have those, we wouldn't have this. Yeah. And so what Overwatch is trying to do, like through Overwatch University, is be that like one-stop shop for everything that you need to know about data centers. It doesn't need to be so complex and difficult. We're just building buildings so that we can run all of this stuff, but we need people. And it's no limitation to just data center or tech experts. It's people that are fresh out of college. We even have a lot of new college interns this summer that not even just within marketing, but even out in the field that are learning things and being exposed to it right away. You don't need to have years and years of experience of it. We just want to get people exposed to it, and that's the whole goal here.
Yeah. To that point, highlighting the people behind it. Yeah.
Well, aside back to, part of what, y'all's experience from the different positions. So now you talked about it's been a year. I can't believe it's been a year already. It's the last podcast. I think I could even see it in just the way that we're communicating. We've grown a lot. Right, maybe talk about some of those things that you've seen, what you've experienced, or the challenges that you've had to overcome in your new role or transitioning into the new role.
Yeah, as we started to transition last year, when you guys were starting to get more into DCAC, we brought in some more help for me and the team, and we brought in Devin. So we have some more younger marketing associates now, Devin Yoakum and Ayana Nunn. They are awesome.
Shout out to Devin and Ayana.
They're so great. But when I look at them, I look back to where Marlee and I were 2 years ago, and now Michelle and I are helping to mentor them and to bring them up to where we are. And so having that whole reflection point has been very crazy over the last year, just from a personal perspective, but from a leadership perspective, there's so much that goes into it, because you can't just every day just be like, all right, here's your task, this is what you need to do, and expect people to actually want to keep showing up every day. Yeah. And I think that I've gone through experiences like that in corporate. And so then now being in this leadership role, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be the leader that I wanted all those years. Exactly. Yeah. And I've really had to look inwards a lot and reflect. And I've only been doing this, you've only been here for a few months. I've only been in this leadership role a few months. And I know I have tons of growth to come, but it's just really cool to be able to be like, whoa, that was me not that long ago. And they're so eager to learn and grow with us. And that's just so cool to be, a part of.
Oh, it's so important to reflect. I think sometimes we and for any younger professionals that already do this, I'd recommend to, look up. Sometimes we keep our heads down and we're just grinding so hard for so long, and we forget to be able to give ourselves grace, right? Or to be able to look at the growth that we've had, because you're just so focused on one thing, just doing so good at your job, or hey, I got to hit these deadlines. Sometimes it's okay to have patience with yourself.
Yeah, we were even talking about it today, Michelle, about just sitting in the office, and we've just got a boatload of things to do, which is no thing to be scared of course. It's what we do here. But we were just sitting there and I was like, Michelle, like, I can't help it, but I do sometimes in this role feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I've been at Overwatch the last 2 years and
You're preaching to the choir.
being remote, but then also coming down to Austin and working with the team, but then still going back home and doing the work, just on my own, and had the promotion. But I remember the day that I got the promotion in April, I just got on a Teams call and then got off the Teams call and I was like, okay, like, I just got promoted, but I was just like at home alone in my apartment, and it's just like wild, that progression and everything there too. And yeah.
What about you, Marlee? So you've transitioned to a whole new position as well, streamlined some of the focus that you're having, but I got to imagine that it's come with its trials and tribulations as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting. I love DCAC, so I was excited to, when we did the organizational kind of regrouping, me and you and we added on Brittany, got to come over to DCAC and solely focus on that. And that is exciting just because, I get to fully focus and put my everything into DCAC instead of being kind of spread thin a little bit like we used to be all over the place with the podcast and everything like that. But no, I think the biggest part for me has been noticing how much I take off of your plate, like stepping into this new role, being exposed to what you've been doing the past 10 years, literally almost by yourself, is insane. So I feel like I'm always discovering more, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've never seen this before. Oh my God, I can't believe Dave was doing this by himself. So that's the most rewarding part to me, is to like help you not drown and see that you now have time to strategize and actually do what your position calls for, is like the strategy and really broadcasting and telling us what, like, not so much what to do, but where you see the vision going and us execute. And so that's been fun, just to kind of have the autonomy to execute and, discover new things that we can change and do better, and just overall help out the team has been so rewarding.
But talk about that, right? So what were you doing? What was your first job before we brought you on to the Overwatch DCAC team? What were you doing beforehand?
Well, I was an aircraft director in the Navy, so I was on the Eisenhower for 5 years, grinding it out. I did 2 deployments. One is the longest deployment in history without sea. Longest deployment in history without port. We did lots of sea time, actually. 206 days without stopping anywhere. So left Norfolk, Virginia, stayed out for 206 days, went right back to Norfolk, Virginia. And that was just because COVID happened while we were out in 5th Fleet. And my second deployment was scheduled already for 4 months after that. Did a double pump, got out in 2022, did Skill Bridge, which was a godsend, and then ended up here, thankfully. So I've been here for 2.5 years now. Yeah.
But you were helping an organization with the Skill Bridge program, correct? Before you came on board.
So for Skill Bridge, I did a 6-month contract with them while I was still in the Navy. If for those of you who don't know what Skill Bridge is, it's basically an internship with the company that's DoD approved, and you're still getting paid by the DoD. So the company basically gets free labor, but you're able to learn and have that time to transition, which for me was crucial. I didn't think being in 5 years that young was going to change me so much, but you really don't notice how different it is, corporate life, just in the way you talk and, interact, and just the things you can and can't say, and, how different personalities matter. In the military, it's like everybody's basically a square and you treat everybody like a square. So, it was a bit different, but to have that transition period was great. And then, I ended up, when I left there, I was running their Skill Bridge program. So, running their operations team.
And that's what I was trying to get to, right? You've done so many, you've had a different path than all of us here in the room, and you transitioned from the military out to running the Skill Bridge program, helping out with marketing, to now, even operations, and you're essentially, helping run a business, right, every day, from just the strategy side of the marketing to the operations, the day-to-day, to the execution, working with vendors, budgets, you're doing so many different roles, or so many different skill sets that are being applied to your everyday job. Mm-hmm. And I guess what I'm trying to tie in is that you don't have to have it figured out, right? I mean, is it fair to say, you're successfully doing your job right now, you're growing every day. I think it's the grit in you that's helping you transition, but it's not something that you were equipped with prior to your job, but you're learning it, and you're.
Yeah, I would say, the military teaches you, strips you down and builds you back up, and you're very adaptable. But I honestly can't take all the credit. This environment is what has allowed me to really flourish and like know that I can push myself or step up to challenges and might fail, but I'm not going to be, reprimanded. I will be like taught and be like, okay, now you know that way doesn't work. Try this way. That's the environment that Overwatch and, as a byproduct, DCAC has created for, I think, all of us. But yeah, I mean, the trust, and they give you a lot of responsibility because they know you can handle it and expect that you will fail and you will need help, and then that it's no big deal, step up and rise again. So, can't take all the credit, but.
Yeah. No, and then that's anybody in the industry, anybody that's considering the industry, I guess tying it back to them is that, hey, look, what I want them to be able to understand is that, look, you don't have to have it figured out again. Just one of those things that we all, I think that was one of the things that we all discovered in the first podcast, that we all came from different backgrounds and we're all in different positions and we're only going to continue to grow, right? But there's just something, a commonality, even with Michelle, right? Knowing you 2 months, it's that great, the perseverance, both of you guys, you've even said it too. Hey, look, that's why you guys clicked right away.
Yeah.
It was that same mindset, but
I would also point out though, like, you don't have to be in the military to flourish in this environment. Obviously, none of you guys are veterans. Yeah. You couldn't be furthest from this type. I mean, you were literally a golden girl at Mizzou. You're girly.
Yeah.
You love the pink and everything.
I was getting into a way different environment.
And you still can adapt and flourish and still be yourself and fit here. And then Michelle, you're kind of the same. I don't know you as well, but and you're doing it and you love it. Like you said, you left and like you missed this environment and wanted to come back. Like, what is it that draws you guys to this environment?
I like the high pressure. I like the room for growth. The industry is growing, so there's only up from here. And I like the community in here. Something that Mike preaches a lot about is A players hire other A players attract other A players. You hire for character, you train for skill. And I see that's like woven into the Overwatch culture, and the people are what makes the company. So at the end of the day,
and there's a lot of great companies out there too. I think they have the same kind of military leaders, or in just general great leaders that I think tie that same mindset together, right? Where it's like, just hiring the best, and being able to push people. I think the trust, I think Marlee, you mentioned this, I think that's something that, we'll tie back into it later on, but just being able, when you're allowed the trust to be able to fail, but learn from your failures.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to touch on. It's none of us were in the data center industry before joining Overwatch. And so when we got here, they knew that there was going to be a lot of learning and hooking arms and pulling each other up together. It's not just you're on your own, you have to fend for yourself. And if I didn't have that support with the pressure alongside it, I would never be in this role today. But in the mission critical environment, while, we do work in the office, so we're not technically facing that mission critical every day, we do want to give that same kind of respect and be pushing, and because it's just as important for us to get that messaging out there about them. And I just love that Overwatch and what we do here respects all levels of everybody that brings us to where we are, and we recognize everybody from the people on site to the people on stage at all the events. Everybody's just as important. And I just love that about Overwatch, that from a social media specialist to now in a leadership role, I felt just as valued from the beginning to now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to kind of transition into young professionals as well too, because along with us not having data center industry experience, we're still pretty young to say in the corporate world of things, not to toot our own horns, and I know we have people younger than us in this job now, but how I want to explain to people that you don't necessarily need that data center experience to get in here. We will teach you what you need to know. We just want you to know that it exists, And
the industry as a whole, I think that's not just the Overwatch mindset, but I think one of the things that I found here in this industry is that the culture, and you haven't yet been in DCAC, but what you'll see there is one of the things I tell people all the time is that you're not going to find an environment like that where, you'll see the true nature of everybody in this industry by just the way that they communicate to you, the way that they talk to you as if they've known you forever. It's like, hey, what can I do to help you out? Versus being the other way around, what can I get from you? What I take from most people that I talk to in this industry is they're always there willing to help me out, right? So I'm always trying to reciprocate that as well.
I think it's to the point where almost like, the people that don't help others. Like it's almost like a blackball list of like, this industry is still very niche and small, and it's like, just like we are at Overwatch, grabbing each other by the arms and pulling each other up, like this industry is still trying to get its legs underneath it and go. Like if you've heard Kirk talk about it, we're in the Henry Ford era of like, this is as bad as AI is ever going to get, and like data centers as well. It's only going to grow from here.
And we've been in talks a lot over the last few days about the roles of everybody in the data center industry, not just what we do here in the office. And what I've been thinking about a lot after Kirk had been pointing out the fact that the AI that we're working with right now is probably the worst it's going to be. It gets better every day and it's going to keep progressing. Our people that are in the field on site are the first ones getting exposed to that technology. Like they're the reasons that we have it. They're the reasons that it's being built and everything. And they're getting the first exposure to it. So I just think that's so cool looking and thinking about the future, like 5 years from now. Like, where's AI going to be? Where are data centers going to be?
That's
and
exciting.
The human element of that, like people are so focused on AI and the growth of it, but humans are the reason that it exists. We're the ones that built it, and the people at Overwatch and the people in the data center industry are the ones, supplying the core of it. So I just find that interesting thinking if how much changed over the last 2 years did, then 5 years from now, where are we going to be?
Another interesting aspect is that like our generation is the only generation, like the last generation, that will remember what it's like to not have cell phones and social media and like having home phones and fax machines. Like I remember that as a kid. And then
You're old enough to remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Did you have a home phone?
Yes,
For sure.
Yeah.
And then like, the kids that are coming out now have no idea what it's like to not have technology at the palm of their hand, and still have no idea where it comes from.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, you were just telling me about Cocomelon too, like how how you got a bit. They created purposely to be able to
it's like TikTok for babies. Yeah,
It's like dopamine overload all the time.
The scenes change every 2 to 5 seconds versus an adult show changes every like 30 to 60 or something like that. So it's already programming their attention span to just be so short. So again, like this is data centers, AI is going to change society. It is the 5th industrial revolution, and as Kirk says, every revolution has a
good and bad.
Exactly. So it will. I'm interested to see, unfortunately, what the good. We know what the good is going to be. Information at your fingertips.
Healthcare. There's going to be things that improve your health.
AI will help improve everything and processes, and everything will be so much more faster, and the accessibility to things will be right there. But what will it do to exactly? Is college going to go away? Is school going to go away? Everybody can find out what they need right there, but.
I think jobs. I mean, I think as AI learns, right? I think Michelle, I'd be curious to see what you think, about AI, how it's going to have the impact. The other thing is, I think one of the things I'd like to hear too is from outside looking in. I think we could talk a lot about all the great reasons why you should join the industry. Mm-hmm. Almost wondering, okay, like for a younger professional, what are some of those things that they'd probably fight themselves on? Oh, why would I want to join this industry? Right? Apart from us selling them, it's like, hey, look, there's going to be. It's not always pretty, right? Yeah. There's going to be things that. Like, hey, you're going to, I don't know, for example, our industry is growing so fast, so I can't really name top of my head the bad things about this industry. But, what were some of those things? Like, is there anything that comes to mind?
About joining this specific industry?
Yeah, or why people would hold themselves back from joining, right? Because I think we've heard Kirk talk about it. We lose part of the industry right now. I think we need over, 500,000 jobs in the next 4 to 5 years?
I think. Well, we were just talking about that yesterday during our marketing plan, is the negative narrative that's in the media right now around the industry. Yeah. People talking about how it's replacing jobs, it's taking people's jobs.
Good point.
And it's affecting communities. Data centers are being built in communities. There was one being built, I used to live in Buda near Kyle, and there was one being built there. Facebook groups were flooded with, there's a data center coming to our community, taking over our land that they use for like farms and stuff like that. So there's a lot of negative narratives around the industry and how it's affecting jobs and communities. I think it's our job to share the positive of what it's doing for those communities. We want to highlight our employees that have been here for generations. I know we have a story of an employee who's here and their son is also working here. Ayana, her dad works here in the company as well. She's one of our digital marketing associates. So how it's impacting the community, providing careers, but also looking at our careers, I think from a marketing perspective, pre-AI and post-AI. You can't fight it. It's already here. How can you use it to build your team, build your career, and speed up your work, make yourself better? So there's no point in working against it right now. It's already here. It's here to stay. But just using it to your leverage to optimize your work performance.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, the negative connotation. I mean, there is a lot to say about AI and how people perceive it, but more specifically data centers, right? If it's being built in your backyard, You either love it or you hate it.
I think from my perspective in the marketing industry, I mean, we work with a lot of artists. And so the narrative there is negative with writers, with artists creating art. I know Netflix just produced their first show that was fully developed by AI with a percentage of direct labor from their team. And they're expecting the revenue with that to skyrocket. So in the marketing industry, I mean, the artists here are hurting. Yeah. And so I think it's from our perspective, how can you work with it, use it to work for you, and just rebuilding that narrative.
Yeah.
A lot of younger audiences are seeing the negative storylines and connotations as well too. And of course, like Kirk has talked about, there's always going to be a trade-off with those industrial revolutions, but how are we able to turn that narrative and not make people scared to join our industry? Because there should be no reason to be scared. Like you said, AI, it's inevitable at this point, and what we're doing, it's inevitable. But we also have so many success stories, and data centers have changed so many lives in a positive way, and so has AI and all the technological advancements behind it. So it is on us, and it's on us now more important than ever, because the narrative is quickly changing negative fast. And it's on us to, remind people that we're here, and data centers are here to support society and help us grow as a whole, and to not be scared of them, because they've been around for a really long time. Yeah. Kirk talks about they've been used in the military for so long. People just don't realize it.
Yeah. Well, what's they say with this industry is almost recession proof. It's not going anywhere, right? Yeah. We're not. Yeah. I mean, when was the last time you guys can remember that technology slowed down? Never. It's only going to be continuously adopted. So the more technology is adopted, the more data centers are adopted. But I'd like to hear your input, Shae. Your experience on this. One of the conversations I've heard around this industry is, whether or not I do believe that AI will replace some degrees, right? There's going to be certain degrees that will become obsolete.
Yeah.
But do you need a degree to come into this industry? Do you believe you do?
I do not think so. Because at this point, you can't go to college and be like, I want to major in data center. Like, that's not a thing at this point. I know that there are colleges and different programs going around across the nation, and things like Overwatch University being created, but you don't necessarily need to hold up your bachelor's degree when you're at the front door of a data center and be like, I'm ready to work. Like, that's not the case, and that's not how it's going to work. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, we will be there to bring you up and bring you up to speed on everything that you need to know. But I would never want to take away from the college experience that I had and everything that I learned from that. So it's just such a unique turning point in society, and even as far as an industrial revolution goes, because we had the conversation earlier this week, Michelle, with our team of, I couldn't imagine being in college with ChatGPT and how different all of that is, like how much we use it for work and how it really helps us out every day. But we've been seeing things online where kids are like, oh, I couldn't take my final because ChatGPT was down. Like,
they found ways around it now. I think even my nephew, he's like 8 years old. He's like, oh yeah, we don't use ChatGPT. We use something else.
Yeah, and that's just wild. I just don't know how universities and stuff would keep up with that. So for your question, I guess I couldn't answer it technically, but for me, I think that I would have just as much support with or without a degree in this industry.
Well, I think some jobs you're going to need a degree, right? There's some jobs like finance or things like that you're going to need. Yeah. But I mean, going back to, I think that sometimes we feel like we're pressured into making a decision right after high school, whether it's going to the military, going to college, or taking a gap year. I think that's hopefully someone will hear that story and resonate. Okay, hey, cool. I could still go that route and go into this industry. Or, maybe there's other options, right, where you want to go into trades. You don't have to have any experience.
And that's what I was going to hit on with the whole AI thing. And it could take some jobs, coding, and it unfortunately, some people will choose to have AI art over, actual artists and pay graphic designers. But the one thing that we've touched on is going to build back is more of the middle class, more of the blue collar jobs, the trades. Like that's what, America was built on, and that's, what this industrial revolution will be built on too. Like that's why this is not just for the people that have college degrees or, a specific certificate. Like this is for those that are good with their hands, are open to learning something new, like but all that said, there's a place for every single one of those people. College degree, not college degree, military, trades, all of it fits into that ecosystem here. So it's like, why wouldn't you get involved?
I love it.
It's something that we talked about during yesterday's workshop is AI and data centers couldn't exist without the blue collar workers.
How so?
They do the work. They're the people building those buildings. That's what the campaign is going to be called. We do the work. They're the ones sweating it out every single day. We do the marketing, we do the technical stuff, but they're the people at those data centers keeping things running and making sure that if something goes down, you never notice it. You never have to suffer from it, from a traffic light, from your phone, from your email, anything. they're keeping us running.
Yeah, I think the scariest thing I've heard about a data center is if every data center in the world went down right now, your bank account would be zero.
Oh, that's the scariest thing, David. No. Let me see where your priorities are. David's like, don't touch my money.
But we even talk about it. We're like, imagine you're scrolling on TikTok and it's like, oh, sorry, the data center is just, they're out of office today. Everyone's taking vacation.
What if you're trying to get somewhere? Like I use my map. I rely too hard on Apple Maps at this point.
Same.
Imagine if we had to go back to real map. Like, you know, I remember being a kid sitting in the backseat seeing my dad with a huge map on the dashboard. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality of not having data centers. How many people could get to where they need to go? I live 45 minutes from home. I could probably figure out my way from here, but other than that, I would be all over the place.
I take it back. Sorry, that sounded very mean. Saying that money. The scariest thing is that how it would impact lives, how people will die, right?
Money and lives as well too, and the societal impact.
Keep
of
me
all
alive
of
so I can
that.
spend my
There's
money.
lives that rely on the transfer of information, especially in the healthcare, right? So imagine that. Imagine your files not being able to be shared, and it's a life or death situation. I hate to say it, but that's an unfortunate. Like I try to, some of my friends that don't know what a data center is. Not that I'm trying to sell them on it, but I'm trying to let them understand, hey, like the critical part of it.
Yeah, mission
like, hey,
critical.
this is why we need more people in our industry. In hopes that they'll be able to take that and share with someone else. It's going to be like, oh, I want to go be a part of that.
Yeah.
I feel like go ahead.
I was just going to say, because it's more than just a job. It is like a purpose. It's a mission. Like you are keeping the lights on. You are keeping the world running, whether it's with a conference that brings people together and sparks new ideas and pushes the industry forward, or it's marketing, getting the message out there and, making people aware of it and getting labor in.
Yeah. It's the story behind the industry and everything that we're doing. Like there's a reason why we're preaching this so much. It's because data centers are running your everyday life. And if we didn't have them, you wouldn't have all those luxuries that you don't even think twice about day in, day out. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why we're spreading this message, and that's the important reason behind it.
What's your thoughts on all this, Michelle? Now that you're hearing these type of inputs, I don't know if you've heard it in this context, right? What makes you? Is there anything that scares you or anything like that we said that you're like, oh man,
my bank account now.
Or your Tesla? No, your Tesla will be fine, I guess.
I don't think so.
The Tesla would be
probably not.
The Tesla would be down.
no.
I'm pretty sure.
No, my Tesla would be down.
So your bank account.
My Ford would
bank
still
account
work.
and my Tesla. Yep.
Yeah,
I'll come pick you up.
But your internet, right? Like, to me, it's if your hobby is to watch TV, right? Imagine going back to to me, it's right now I'm taking a break from social media. I've kind of deleted my social media because I'm like, okay, it's so easy to scroll through it 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and then you waste 2 hours of your day.
Yeah.
It's kind of taking that, but it feels great because I look at my phone and I remember I don't have the app and go right back to what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Remember back in the days when people didn't have any of this, not even a phone. You just had to, you had to walk over to your neighbor's house, probably go knock on the door and be like, hey, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
I think probably the connection was more genuine. Like you had to go out of your way to actually connect with people instead of being able to get on Instagram, scroll, and feel connected to people. Like it scratches that itch like social media. You're like, oh, okay, I see what they're up to, instead of having to call them and be like, oh, hey, how are you? What have you been up to? And you're constantly fed it. You know everything that everybody's up to.
Outside of socials, chat. I mean, I don't know anybody my age that doesn't use chat every single day.
When was the last time you used a dictionary? That's a better question, right? Like I remember that. Like now I go to
I
chat
use
and
the
chat.
one on my laptop sometimes.
I just literally Google
Chat,
it.
I guess Google, but like now when I want to learn something quickly, just ask chat or I have digested. But the fact like one of the craziest things is now chat will understand you to the point where you can respond. Like you could say, hey, what would I do in this situation? And it can give you a response. And it's pretty accurate, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Even like my father-in-law, he had never used chat before, and he was over asking me about something. I was like, I have no idea. Ask chat, and he was like, who? I downloaded the app for him, and he constantly sends me, look at what it did for me. This is a good point. He's a graphic designer, and he actually uses chat to help like explain an idea, and it will give him a mock-up, and he'll be like, oh, okay, I can go from there. So just like how it could be taking artist jobs, you can also use it to your advantage and help you get ahead of the game, just like we do all the time. So pros and cons.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the cons, right? We talked about social media maybe taking up too much time or technology, but the benefit of that, helping your uncle out. I mean, for example, I've had family members where I'm like, hey, if you ask chat to give you a diet plan or give you an exercise plan, or like hey, I don't know how to work out. Ask chat.
Yep.
Right. And as great as that is, and it dumbs things down, they're like, hey, I don't know how to use it.
It's a little too complex at some point.
Yeah, but there's benefits to it, right? it saves you some time. You just said you've recommended to your family as
yeah,
well?
some of my family as well. They're like, what are you talking about? Like chat? And I'm like, Chat GPT. Like just download it, try it out, and have it do some fun stuff for you. Just see where it takes you. But I wanted to touch on the point going back to the younger generation, because something I've been seeing a lot online is phone addiction. And you talking about how you've deleted your social media. It's like our generation and like Gen Z and even below us, they are like anti-phone at this point because they're addicted to their phones. And so Kirk has mentioned this in the past, where we're going to get to a point where people are like, I don't want to be overindulging in social media and doom scrolling, and finding that balance of humanity again. And I just find that interesting, like, because you're already on top of that. And I try to set limits on my social media apps too. Yeah. But it's hard working in marketing when I'm like on social media for my job. And I'm like,
Yeah, I literally saw a woman on the news the other day. She was being interviewed because she got rid of her iPhone and uses a flip phone now. And they were just asking her questions, and she was like, yeah, I mean, I'm able to do this. I understand that some people wouldn't be able to. Like, we literally wouldn't be able to. We're in WhatsApp messages and all these different campaigns, and we need to be at all these places at once. Like, we have to be connected, but it is interesting how people, like you said, they're going to start turning away from it. And she was a great example of being like, nope, I call my friends when I want to hang out. I, do what I need to do and just live life the old way.
Well, tying that back to like the other parts of the industry, I mean, I'd be curious to hear your experience, right, coming from the hospitality industry, right? One of the things I think the data center allows us to do is it's not one of those industries where we're behind a computer all day and you don't interact. We have a lot of different things apart from the conferences, but what we do on a day-to-day when you're on a job site, you're interacting with people, right? It takes you back to that human connection. How was the hospitality industry prior? Is that still, like, has it changed with AI and technology?
Trying to think. I mean,
it's still very interactive, very
I think hospitality is all about people and how you interact with people. I think if it changed anything, there was a big focus at my last agency around our digital efforts, because we were seeing a lot of traffic coming from chat GPT queries of people being like, hey, I'm traveling, build an itinerary for me. So if we were hosting any events, any new hotels, any specials, we had a package for ACL, making sure that we had all of the right keywords and digital strategy behind it, so that when people are turning to chat to give it an itinerary, we were always at top of results for that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I got to imagine there's industries out there that, don't interact as much. And that's where I guess, to me, it's that I love that our industry still kind of has that touch point where it's still humanistic, right? You still need each other. You said this too. We're still so young that everybody kind of knows everybody in this industry. That's one of the big things that I'd say here, anybody that wants to come into a community, you're not, no matter what company you come into in the data center industry, you're coming into a community of a lot more other people. And that naturally want to help you.
Yeah, for sure. That's my favorite part about DCAC and all the events is just coming together with everyone. And now we're going to get into, I don't know how many we've done at this point, but going into our 10th year of DCAC, it's just crazy the connections that we've built over time. And I know that if, Overwatch, I transitioned from here, I know that everybody here would be a helping hand to get me wherever I needed to go in the data center industry. And I think that's really cool. And you couldn't say that about a lot of other industries.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a good one to end on.
Yeah. Shae,
I have one more question to end on, and I think it would wrap us up pretty nicely. But since this is young professionals, and I think all of us, not to say we're success stories or whatever, to toot our own horns, but it does go to show that there is growth within this industry, even when you're not expecting it. So for young professionals, what piece of advice would you give for someone wanting to get into this industry, get to know more information about it? Where should they start? Who should they talk to?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Why don't you
but anywhere. Take it anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll let the new kid on the block go first.
Can you repeat all of that again?
Basically, what advice would you give a young professional, someone fresh out of college or transitioning from a different industry, and they're like, I don't want to do hospitality anymore. I want to come into the data center industry, but where do I start?
Advice, where to start? I'd say be curious. Again, I think what drove me to this role wasn't specifically the industry, but the culture of the industry. So be curious, be open for growth. Yes, it's high pressure, but there's also so much support. And if there's anywhere to start your career, ideally it'd be in an environment like this. There's room. Yesterday, as we gave our marketing presentations, one of our associates said, what I'm more scared of is that this is new and I'm going to make mistakes. The first thing that Kirk and Mike said is make them. It's how we're going to learn. So be curious, be excited, be ready to learn, be ready to be put under high pressure, but be ready to be rewarded for it, learn from it. And I think Shae and I, David, Marlee are all great success stories of how you can start, be small, learn. You're open to it. You come into it with the right attitude. You don't give up. You're guaranteed to grow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would definitely say that persistence, and to get involved, do your research, find out what you're interested in. Like we've touched on, there's every sector of jobs here. If you're interested in finance, marketing, whatever it is, do it here. It's recession proof. It's going to be constantly growing. There's totally room for you to grow here. And then there's tons of ways to get involved. Come to DCAC, reach out to Overwatch. We have millions of group chats we could put you in, get you connected with all of the people in the industry. There's no shortage of ways to connect and get in here. So you have no excuse.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's one thing I'd say genuinely, that if anybody is interested in coming to the industry or had questions, they could definitely reach out to any of us. We could put you in touch. If we're not the right person, for what you're looking for, we'll put you in touch with the right people. There's nobody in this industry that we can't connect you with, or that we can't, reach out to somebody, our friends, to be able to get an introduction to them. There is a lot of organizations out there, right? Whether it's the WIMCO Tech Summit, 7x24, or any of the events out there that have a opportunity for the younger generation to get involved. There's a great organization out in Europe, Gen Plus One, as well, that's doing something that they're focused their events around the younger generation. So I would say if depending on where you're located, we could definitely put you in touch with those type of organizations that will allow you to have a community of people that you can go to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would say, don't be afraid to send us a message and put yourself out there. I think that if I didn't put myself out there a few years ago, it would never have gotten me here. So definitely don't be afraid to put yourself in a position that you don't know what to expect, and also be a sponge once you get there. I received that advice at one point in my career, and it resonated with me, and now I tell everyone, be a sponge, absorb as much information as you can, even if you're on information overload, but just always take it in. Even to this day, I feel like I still try to stay on that be a sponge mentality, but I'm so happy that we got to do this today and come together a year later after our first Young Professionals episode. So thank you, David, for all your leadership over the last year.
Don't thank me. It takes people that want to learn, takes people that want to continue to develop themselves. I think that's the big part where all of y'all, even Michelle, yourself, even knowing you for 2 months, I see that. So I would say there's nothing to thank me for. It's all within each of you.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and I'm excited to see where we're going to be a year from now for Young Professionals Part 3. Except we might not be young anymore. We might have to get a new crew in here.
to change the title.
All right.
Till next time.
Until next time. And break.
Bye.